Summer in Sandpoint, a quaint coastal town in Massachusetts, promised to be like any other for Emily, Tyler, Sophia, Ethan, and Olivia. The five friends, recent high school graduates, planned to enjoy their last moments together before going their separate ways to college. The air was filled with the smell of sea air and the promise of unknown adventures. On a particularly hot July afternoon, Emily suggested a visit to her grandmother's beach house, a Victorian building that had been awaiting renovation for years. The property, located on a secluded stretch of coast, was a treasure trove of family stories and untold mysteries. The group enthusiastically agreed, seeing this as an opportunity for a little local adventure. Upon arrival, they were greeted by an imposing sight. A three-story mansion with wraparound balconies and ornate turrets, all covered in a patina of neglect and time. The deckboards creaked beneath their feet as they climbed the worn steps to the front door. Emily turned the ancient key in the lock, and the door creaked open, revealing a dark, dusty interior. The group spread out, exploring the downstairs rooms with a mixture of curiosity and reverence. Furniture covered in sheets formed ghostly silhouettes in the diffuse light that filtered through the drawn curtains. The air was heavy with the smell of old books and aged wood. It was Tyler, always the most curious and technically inclined of the group, who noticed it first. His keen gaze caught the barely perceptible outline of a small door in the ceiling of the second-floor hallway. With the help of Ethan, the group's athlete, they managed to lower the retractable ladder that led to the attic. One by one, they ascended into the forgotten space. The attic was a labyrinth of forgotten treasures, mysterious trunks, piles of yellowed books, and objects covered in dusty sheets. Sunbeams filtered through small round windows, illuminating dust particles that danced in the still air. Olivia, with her trained artistic eye, was the first to notice something out of the ordinary. Hidden behind an old dresser, partially covered by a faded sheet, was a worn leather tube. Carefully, she picked it up, feeling the weight of the story in her hands. With her friends gathered in a tight circle, Olivia opened the tube. From within, she pulled out a yellowed nautical map, its surface covered in an intricate web of lines, strange symbols and notations in elegant but nearly illegible handwriting. Sophia, the history lover of the group, gasped as she recognized the importance of the find. His fingers trembled slightly as he traced the lines on the map. "This is from the 18th century, she whispered, her voice barely contained with excitement. "And these symbols seem to indicate something significant in an archipelago." The group was silent for a moment, absorbing the magnitude of their discovery. Emily, always the natural leader, was the first to speak. "We need to keep this a secret, at least for now," she said, looking each of her friends in the eye, "until we understand exactly what we have here." As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the dusty attic, the five friends made a solemn pact. They would unlock the map's secrets no matter what the cost. The excitement of discovery pulsed between them, an almost palpable energy that promised adventures beyond their wildest dreams. Descending from the attic, each carried not only the weight of their newfound secret, but also the dawning realization that their lives were about to change drastically. The summer that promised to be like any other had turned into the prelude to an epic journey. As they closed the door of the old beach house, the sound of the waves in the distance seemed like a call, a whisper of secrets yet to be revealed. The nautical map, now safely tucked away in Emily's backpack, was more than an old piece of paper. It was a portal to the unknown, an invitation to the greatest adventure of their lives. In the days following the map's discovery, Emily's house was transformed into a makeshift operations center. His room, once a shrine of teenage memorabilia, now looked more like the hideout of a secret society. The walls were covered with enlarged copies of the map, multicolored sticky notes, and lines of string connecting theories and discoveries. Tyler, the tech genius of the group, has put together an impressive workstation. His state-of-the-art laptop was connected to a high-resolution scanner, allowing him to digitize and analyze every inch of the ancient map. Image processing programs ran constantly, searching for hidden patterns and details imperceptible to the naked eye. Sophia dove headfirst into a stack of books on maritime history and cryptography. His eyes, red from reading in the dim light, scanned page after page, searching for any mention of symbols or codes similar to those found on the map. Notebooks filled with meticulous notes piled up around him, each a complex web of theories and historical connections. Ethan, with his analytical athlete's mind, approached the puzzle from a different perspective. He created a series of physical models, using string and pins to map the possible routes and locations indicated in the document. Their three-dimensional approach revealed patterns that were not immediately obvious on the flat version of the map. Olivia, in turn, spent hours meticulously reproducing the map's details in her sketchbook. His artistic eye captured nuances that others might have missed, subtle variations in pen pressure, small inconsistencies that could be clues, or simply the effects of time on the aging paper. Emily, naturally assuming the role of leader, coordinated the group's efforts. She kept a whiteboard updated with the latest discoveries and theories, ensuring everyone was on the same page, and no idea was overlooked. His tireless energy kept morale high, even when progress seemed slow. As the days turned into weeks, patterns began to emerge. The cryptic symbols on the map were not random, but part of a complex code. Tyler discovered that when superimposed on certain constellations, the symbols revealed specific coordinates in the archipelago. Sophia made a crucial discovery when she deciphered one of the Latin verses hidden around the edges of the map. "It is not gold you seek, but long-buried truth," she translated, her voice trembling with emotion. This revelation triggered a new wave of theories and speculation among friends. As the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, the group's excitement grew. They weren't just deciphering an ancient map, they were unraveling the path to a possible historical discovery of epic proportions. The archipelago indicated on the map, located in a remote area of the Atlantic, promised to be home to secrets that could rewrite history. However, with the excitement also came an awareness of the monumental challenges they would face. The archipelago was thousands of miles away, in waters known to be treacherous. Getting there would require resources they didn't have: a suitable boat, sophisticated navigation equipment, supplies for an extended expedition. Plus, there was the matter of convincing their parents to let them embark on such a journey. Each of them faced expectations and plans for the future that did not include a potentially dangerous treasure hunt on the high seas. Tensions reached a fever pitch when Tyler made a disturbing discovery online. Recent news spoke of a rich and unscrupulous artifact collector who had acquired several items related to the same region indicated on the map. The possibility of competition added a sense of urgency to their mission. As the chapter of their lives in Sandpoint seemed to come to an end, the five friends found themselves at a crossroads. They had unlocked the map's initial secrets, but the real challenge was just beginning. The adventure that awaited them promised to be bigger, more dangerous, and more transformative than anything they could have imagined. The decision to embark on the adventure was not taken lightly. Emily called a final meeting in her room, now unrecognizable beneath layers of maps and notes. The five friends sat in a circle, the air heavy with the magnitude of what they were about to undertake. Emily, with determination shining in her eyes, came up with a meticulous plan. They had 3 weeks before college classes started, a tight deadline but achievable. Tyler had already located a suitable boat to rent, while Sophia had compiled a list of essential equipment. Ethan, ever the pragmatist, raised the most delicate question: how to convince his parents. After hours of debate, they settled on a half-truth. They would present the trip as a last summer adventure, a diving and sea exploration expedition. It wasn't exactly a lie, but it conveniently omitted details about ancient maps and lost treasures. The following days were a frantic race against time. Olivia took on the task of creating a fake itinerary, detailing stops at resort islands that loosely coincided with her real route. Tyler immersed himself in the world of navigation, absorbing knowledge about nautical charts and GPS systems. Meanwhile, Sophia and Emily devoted themselves to historical research, seeking any additional information about the archipelago region and possible historical events that could be linked to their mysterious treasure. Each new discovery only added to the mystery, suggesting they were on the trail of something truly significant. Ethan, with his contacts in the water sports world, was able to arrange the rental of a modest but capable sailboat. He spent days studying the basics of sailing, determined not to be the expedition's weak link. The tension reached its peak when it was time to present the plan to the parents. To everyone's surprise, the reaction was mixed. Some parents saw the trip as a unique opportunity. Others expressed concerns about safety and responsibility. After intense negotiations, including promises of daily check-ins and a detailed, albeit fictional, route plan, they gained reluctant approval. With permission secured, final preparations accelerated. Equipment was purchased, supplies stocked, and the sailboat was thoroughly inspected. Tyler installed a satellite communication system, ensuring they could stay in touch even in the most remote waters. The day before departure, the group gathered at Sandpoint Beach. Under a starry sky, they reaffirmed their commitment to each other and to the mission. The weight of the secret they shared, the lies of a mission they had to tell, hung over them, but the excitement of the adventure that awaited them surpassed any doubts. As the waves gently crashed onto the shore, each of them silently contemplated what they left behind and the unknown that awaited them. Tomorrow at sunrise, they would set sail in search of a centuries-old mystery, leaving behind the comforts of their known lives. The night air was charged with unspoken promise and danger. None of them could have predicted the challenges they would face, the secrets they would discover, or how this journey would transform them. But one thing was certain: their lives would never be the same. Dawn arrived with a mix of sea mist and golden promise. Sandpoint Harbor, normally quiet at this hour, was buzzing with the activity of the 5 young adventurers. Their sailboat, named Destiny's Whisper by Olivia, swayed gently in the waters, as if eager to leave. Emily oversaw the final loading of supplies, meticulously checking off each item on her list. Tyler, in turn, made the final adjustments to the navigation and communications equipment. Sophia carefully organized the research documents and the precious map in a waterproof compartment. Ethan, having spent the last few weeks absorbing navigation knowledge, was inspecting the sails and rigging with a critical eye. Olivia, always attentive to detail, ensured that everything on board was properly tied down and secured for the journey. As the sun rose above the horizon, family and a few curious friends began to gather at the pier. Tight hugs were exchanged, last recommendations whispered, and promises of care repeated. The weight of the half-truths they had told weighed heavily on the young men, but the excitement of the impending adventure outweighed any guilt. With a final wave to the shore, Emily gave the signal. Ethan and Tyler released the moorings, while Sophia and Olivia raised the sails. Destiny's Whisper responded promptly, gliding out of the harbor with surprising grace. The cool morning wind filled the sails, carrying them towards the open horizon. First hours of sailing were marked by a mixture of euphoria and nervousness. Each crew member found their rhythm, alternating between navigational tasks and moments of quiet contemplation. The Massachusetts coast soon became a faint line on the horizon and then disappeared completely. As the day progressed, they faced their first challenge, a sudden change in the weather. Dark clouds quickly accumulated, bringing with them stronger winds and choppy waves. Ethan, with his newfound experience, guided the group through the security procedures. Candles were collected, equipment secured, and everyone donned life jackets. The storm, although brief, was intense. Waves swept the deck, and the wind howled through the rigging. Emily held the helm steady, her eyes fixed on the turbulent horizon. Tyler constantly monitored their position, making sure they didn't stray too far off course. Sophia and Olivia worked tirelessly to keep the interior of the boat dry and safe. When the storm finally passed, leaving behind a washed-out sky and a calmer sea, the group gathered on deck, exhausted but elated to have overcome their first major test. They shared a moment of silent camaraderie. The reality of their situation, alone in the vast ocean, depending only on each other, finally set in. At night, under a breathtaking starry sky, Emily plotted her progress on the map. They were well ahead of schedule, having covered more distance than expected. Sophia took the moment to share more of her historic discoveries, weaving a fascinating narrative about pirates, explorers, and lost treasures that could be linked to her mysterious map. While taking turns on night watch, each of the friends found a moment for solitary reflection. The gentle rocking of the boat, the constant murmur of the waves, and the immensity of the night sky created an almost magical atmosphere. Thoughts of what they had left behind mixed with dreams of what they might discover. In the cabin below deck, the ancient map rested in its waterproof case, its secrets yet to be revealed. Little did they know that each nautical mile would lead them not only toward potential treasure, but also toward challenges and discoveries that would test not only their friendship, but also their own limits. As Destiny's Whisper sailed silently through the night, carrying her brave young crew into the unknown, the first chapter of her great adventure came to an end. What awaited them beyond the horizon, only time could reveal. After 5 days of intense navigation, the horizon finally revealed the hazy outlines of the archipelago they had so strenuously sought. The excitement aboard Destiny's Whisper was palpable, with each crew member feeling a mix of anticipation and apprehension. Emily, at the helm, guided the sailboat expertly between the first islands of the archipelago. The scenery unfolding before them was breathtaking. White sandy beaches contrasted with craggy cliffs, while dense tropical forests covered the island's mountainous interiors. Tyler, constantly consulting his GPS and old map, directed Emily to a hidden cove on the central island of the archipelago. As they approached, Sophia noticed ancient structures partially hidden by vegetation. Time-worn stone ruins hinted at a long-forgotten human presence. They anchored Destiny's Whisper in the sheltered cove and were soon inflating the boat to explore the coast. Ethan, with his athletic strength, rowed the group to shore. Stepping onto the soft sand, each of them felt the weight of history beneath their feet. Olivia, with her keen artistic eye, was the first to notice something unusual. Partially buried in the sand, a fragment of ancient pottery caught his eye. Upon examining it more closely, the group realized that the pattern on the fragment resembled one of the symbols on their map. Excited about this first discovery, the group split up to explore the area. Emily and Tyler followed the shoreline, mapping the perimeter of the island. Sophia and Olivia entered the forest, looking for the ruins seen from the sea. Ethan, ever mindful of safety, established a base camp on the beach. As the day progressed, each team made intriguing discoveries. Emily and Tyler found a series of sea caves, some containing ancient writings on the walls. Sophia and Olivia, in turn, located the ruins of a temple, its architecture unlike anything they had ever studied. Gathering at sunset, they enthusiastically shared their discoveries. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to fit together, but something crucial was still missing. The treasure mentioned on the map remained elusive. As night fell over the island, the group discussed their next steps around a campfire on the beach. The sound of the waves and the singing of night birds created an almost mystical atmosphere. Each of them felt they were on the brink of something monumental, a discovery that could change not only their lives, but potentially rewrite history. However, a feeling of uneasiness was beginning to set in. Tyler mentioned seeing strange lights at sea during his watch the night before. Ethan reported unknown footprints near his camp. The feeling that they were not alone in the archipelago grew. As they prepared to spend their first night on the island, each one silently reflected on their journey there. They had weathered storms, overcome doubts, and were now on the threshold of a great discovery. But what awaited them in the depths of the island was still a mystery, with the star-filled night sky above them and the gentle murmur of the waves. As background music, the five friends fell asleep, their dreams populated by images of ancient treasures and long-buried secrets. Little did they know that the real challenges of their adventure were just beginning. Dawn brought new determination to the group. After a quick breakfast, they hatched a plan to explore deeper into the island's interior. Sophia, armed with her historical notes, led the way towards the ruins of the temple. As they advanced through the dense vegetation, Ethan noticed strange markings on the trees, symbols that resembled those on the map. Following these markings, the group arrived at a clearing where the ruins stood majestically. The temple, partially covered in vines and mosses, was an impressive sight. Ornate columns supported a partially collapsed ceiling, and in the center, a stone altar remained intact. Olivia, with her trained eye for detail, noticed that the carvings on the altar formed a familiar pattern. Working together, they were able to decipher that the altar was, in fact, a complex mechanism. Tyler, applying his engineering knowledge, identified a series of hidden levers and buttons. Carefully, the group began to manipulate the mechanism, guided by the clues on the map. Suddenly, a bang reverberated throughout the temple. The altar began to move, revealing a secret passage that led deep into the earth. Each of their hearts quickened with the anticipation of what they might find. Equipped with flashlights and ropes, they began their descent. The passage led them to a vast underground chamber, lit by strange bioluminescent crystals. The walls were covered in ancient inscriptions and maps, detailing a history that went far beyond what they had imagined. Sophia, frantically translating, revealed that they had discovered the remains of an ancient and advanced civilization. This society apparently possessed knowledge that challenged the modern understanding of history. Star maps, complex mathematical formulas, and descriptions of lost technologies covered the walls. In the center of the chamber, they found not a treasure trove of gold and jewels, but something infinitely more valuable, a library of ancient texts and technological artifacts of unknown origin. Emily, handling one of the devices carefully, accidentally activated a holographic projection that showed the entire map of the archipelago and beyond. The magnitude of the discovery left them astonished. They realized they had stumbled upon something that could revolutionize the understanding of human history and possibly change the course of the future. As they explored the chamber, cataloging and photographing everything they could, a distant noise alerted them. Voices and footsteps echoed from the passage above. The rival group, led by the unscrupulous collector, had arrived on the island and were quickly approaching it. In a frenzy of activity, the group gathered as much artifacts and information as they could carry. Tyler, thinking quickly, used his technical knowledge to activate a sealing mechanism at the chamber's entrance. As the passage slowly closed behind them, the five friends raced back to the surface, carrying the weight of their monumental discovery. They emerged from the temple to find the sun setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and red. Running back to Destiny's whisper, they could hear distant voices and the sound of branches breaking in the forest. The rival group was quickly approaching. With their hearts racing and adrenaline coursing through their veins, the five friends hurried to set sail. As they raised the sails and weighed anchor, they saw figures emerging onto the beach. Destiny's whisper glided out of the cove, taking with it not only five young adventurers, but also secrets that could change the world. As the island disappeared into the distance, each of them knew their adventure was far from over. In fact, it was just the beginning of something much bigger than either of them could have imagined. Night quickly fell upon Destiny's whisper as she sailed away from the mysterious island. The initial relief of the escape gave way to palpable tension on board. Emily, at the helm, kept her eyes fixed on the dark horizon, while Tyler frantically monitored the navigation instruments. A few miles away, the lights of a larger ship cut through the darkness. The rival group, led by the unscrupulous collector, had started the chase. The vastness of the ocean, once an adventure playground, now felt like a claustrophobic trap. Ethan and Olivia worked in perfect sync, adjusting the sails to squeeze every possible knot of speed out of the sailboat. Sophia, meanwhile, was feverishly examining the artifacts and documents they had managed to rescue, searching for any information that could help them. The chase stretched into the night, with the larger ship slowly gaining ground. Exhaustion was beginning to take its toll on the young crew, but adrenaline and fear kept them alert. Every wave, every gust of wind was a battle to keep his distance from his pursuers. In the early morning hours, with the sky beginning to lighten on the horizon, Tyler made a crucial discovery. Among the rescued artifacts, he found an ancient device that emitted a pulsating signal. After a few minutes of frantic study, he realized that the device was pointing in a specific direction, a different direction than the one they were heading. With the pursuing ship dangerously close, Emily made a bold decision. Following the ancient device's directions, she sharply turned Destiny's whisper, taking them towards a bank of dense fog that had formed on the horizon. The maneuver caught his pursuers by surprise. The larger ship, unable to change direction so quickly, passed straight past, losing precious ground. Taking advantage of the moment, the crew of Destiny's whisper worked in unison to navigate through the treacherous fog. Minutes turned into tense hours as they sailed almost blindly, guided only by the mysterious ancient device and Emily's intuitive skill at the helm. The distant sound of the pursuing ship's engine was a constant reminder of the danger that followed them. When they finally emerged from the mist, they found themselves in uncharted waters. Ahead, an island not on any of their modern maps rose from the waves. Its steep slopes and rocky beaches promised refuge, albeit a potentially dangerous one. With the rival ship still lost in the fog, but certainly not far behind, Emily guided Destiny's whisper towards the mysterious island. As they approached the rugged coastline, each crew member felt they were crossing a threshold, not just geographical, but also into the unknown. As they anchored in a small hidden cove, the group shared looks of determination mixed with apprehension. They had escaped for now, but they knew that the real adventure and the real danger was just beginning. Dawn revealed the true nature of the island on which they had sought refuge. Rocky cliffs rose abruptly from the sea, covered in dense, unfamiliar vegetation. There were no sandy beaches in sight, just intricate rock formations that seemed to defy the laws of geology. After a night of tense vigil, the crew of Destiny's Whisper prepared to explore their new surroundings. Ethan and Tyler were tasked with hiding the sailboat as best as possible, camouflaging it with local vegetation to avoid aerial detection. Emily, Sophia, and Olivia formed the initial exploration team. Equipped with the ancient device, which continued to emit its pulsating signal, they ventured up the island's steep slope. The vegetation was unlike anything they had ever seen, with bizarrely shaped plants and vibrant colors that defied classification. As they advanced, Sophia noticed strange patterns in the rock formations. These were not natural formations, but ancient structures, so perfectly integrated into the landscape that they were almost indistinguishable from it. Olivia, with her trained eye, began to identify symbols and inscriptions similar to those found on the previous island. The ancient device guided them to a clearing at the top of a cliff. There they found a structure that defied comprehension, a circle of monoliths that appeared to float inches above the ground, slowly rotating around a central core of pulsing energy. As they examined the structure in wonder, the device in their hands came to life. He projected a series of holograms, showing star maps, complex diagrams, and sequences of symbols that moved and changed rapidly. Sophia, working frantically to decipher the information, realized that they were facing something much bigger than a simple lost treasure. The holograms suggested the existence of a network of similar islands, all connected by some type of ancient and advanced technology. Meanwhile, at the beach, Ethan and Tyler made their own shocking discovery. Hidden among the rocks, they found the remains of a sunken ship, not an ancient ship, but a modern yacht. Investigating more closely, they found evidence that the ship belonged to the rival group that was chasing them. The realization hit them like a bolt of lightning. They were not the first to arrive on this island in modern times. The unscrupulous collector had already been there, but something had gone terribly wrong. Back at the top of the cliff, Emily, Sophia, and Olivia were about to make contact with the energy core when a deafening noise cut through the air. A helicopter appeared on the horizon, its silhouette unmistakable against the afternoon sky. In panic, the group split up. Emily and Olivia ran back to the beach to alert Ethan and Tyler, while Sophia remained to try and gather more information from the ancient device. As the helicopter approached, a sense of urgency came over everyone. They knew they were on the brink of a discovery that could change the world, but they were also in imminent danger. As the sound of the helicopter grew louder, the 5 friends gathered on the beach, faced with an impossible choice: flee and abandon the discovery of their lives or stay and face a powerful and unscrupulous enemy. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows over the mysterious island. Destiny's whisper swayed gently in the waters of the cove, as if awaiting the decision of its young crew. Their next move would not only determine their fate, but potentially the fate of a secret that had remained hidden for millennia. The helicopter hovered ominously over the island, its roar echoing off the rocky slopes. Emily, with quick decision, led the group to a network of coastal caves they had previously discovered. There, hidden in the shadows, they watched the helicopter land in a nearby clearing. From the helicopter, a figure they instantly recognized from their research photos emerged. The infamous collector, Dr. Victor Blackwood. Accompanied by a team of armed mercenaries, Blackwood began to methodically search the island. Trapped in their hideout, the group frantically debated their options. It was then that Sophia made a shocking revelation. The data from the ancient device suggested that the island was more than just an artifact site. It was part of a vast defense system created by an ancient civilization to protect something of immense power and danger. Meanwhile, Tyler, working silently with his equipment, managed to intercept Blackwood's radio communications. It was clear that the collector wasn't just after artifacts. He sought to activate what he called the Nexus, apparently the energy core they had discovered at the top of the cliff. With this information, the group realized that they could not simply run away. If Blackwood activated the Nexus without understanding its true implications, the consequences could be catastrophic on a global scale. Determined to stop Blackwood, they formulated a bold plan. Ethan and Emily would create a distraction, taking part of the mercenaries away. Meanwhile, Sophia, Tyler, and Olivia would infiltrate Blackwood's camp to sabotage his equipment and steal any data he may have collected. The plan came into action at dusk. Ethan and Emily, using their knowledge of the island, led the mercenaries on a frantic chase through the dense vegetation. Their athletic skills were put to the test as they leapt over ravines and dodged through trees. Simultaneously, Sophia, Tyler, and Olivia moved stealthily through Blackwood's camp. Tyler hacked into the computer systems, while Sophia and Olivia searched for crucial artifacts and documents. It was Olivia who made the most shocking discovery, a diary detailing Blackwood's previous expeditions. In it, they found evidence that the collector had not only visited other similar islands, but also inadvertently activated ancient defense mechanisms, resulting in disasters that had been attributed to natural phenomena. As the night wore on, the two groups reconvened in the caves, now armed with crucial information and a deeper understanding of the danger they faced. But his victory was short-lived. The sound of approaching footsteps revealed that they had been discovered. Dr. Blackwood, accompanied by his remaining mercenaries, blocked the exit from the cave. His face showed a mixture of anger and fascination as he saw the young adventurers and the artifacts they carried. With guns pointed at them and cornered in the cave, the group found themselves face to face with the man who had become their nemesis. The air was thick with tension as Blackwood approached, his eyes shining with a mixture of greed and triumph. The chapter ends with Blackwood reaching out, demanding they hand over the ancient device and all the artifacts they had collected. The group exchanged tense glances, knowing that their next action could determine not only their fate, but potentially the fate of the world. The impasse in the cave was palpable. Dr. Blackwood, with his armed staff, seemed to have every advantage. However, it was at this critical moment that the group's true strength revealed itself, its unity and quick thinking. Emily, sensing an opportunity, began a bold negotiation with Blackwood. She proposed a trade, the information they possessed for their freedom and a chance to explore the Nexus together. Their argument was that the complexity of the old system required the expertise of all of them. Surprisingly, Blackwood, intrigued by the proposal and recognizing the value of the group's accumulated knowledge, agreed. However, he made it clear that any attempt at treason would be dealt with without mercy. Thus, an uneasy alliance was formed. Under the constant surveillance of Blackwood's mercenaries, the group was escorted to the top of the cliff, where the Nexus pulsed with mysterious energy. As they approached the ancient structure, the device in their hands came to life again. It projected a complex hologram, revealing the true nature of the Nexus. It was not a weapon or source of power, as Blackwood had assumed, but an interface to a vast network of knowledge left behind by an ancient and highly advanced civilization. Sophia, quickly translating the symbols, explained that this civilization had predicted its own downfall and created the Nexus as a means of preserving its knowledge for worthy future generations. The island system was actually a test designed to ensure that only those with pure intentions and sufficient wisdom could access this knowledge. As Blackwood absorbed this information, his expression changed from triumph to concern. The disasters he had inadvertently caused on other islands were actually defense mechanisms activated by his greed and lack of understanding. Tyler, working on the holographic controls, discovered that the Nexus was about to begin a process of self-destruction, activated by Blackwood's previous attempts to force its access. They had only minutes before the entire island, and possibly the entire island system, was destroyed. It was in this moment of crisis that each member of the group demonstrated their unique value. Emily coordinated a quick plan of action. Ethan used his strength to help reposition the floating monoliths. Olivia, with her artistic eye, deciphered a crucial pattern in the projected symbols. Sophia quickly translated old instructions, while Tyler frantically worked the controls to reverse the self-destruction process. Blackwood, seeing the gravity of the situation, put aside his greed and worked alongside the group, providing crucial insights from their previous explorations. The seconds dragged by like hours as they fought against time. The ground began to shake, and fissures appeared in the surrounding rocks. Just when it seemed like all was lost, the group's combined efforts succeeded. The Nexus stabilized, its glow changing from an ominous red to a serene blue. With the crisis averted, the Nexus revealed its true function. It was not a treasure to be possessed, but a repository of knowledge to be shared. He projected a final message. The knowledge contained there was now available to humanity, but its use would require wisdom and cooperation. As the sun rose over the island, bathing the Nexus in golden light, the group, including a humbled and transformed Blackwood, contemplated the implications of their discovery. They had not only saved themselves and the island, but potentially opened a new chapter in human history. The chapter ends with the group looking at the horizon, aware that their adventure, far from over, was just beginning. The real journey would be to share this knowledge with the world and ensure it is used for the good of humanity. The sun rose over the island, bathing the Nexus and the exhausted group in golden light. The magnitude of his discovery was beginning to set in, bringing with it a mixture of elation and crushing responsibility. Dr. Blackwood, deeply affected by recent events, surprised everyone with an unexpected proposal. He offered his yacht, which had remained hidden in a distant cove, to take the group back to civilization. Most importantly, he has committed to using his resources and connections to help protect and responsibly disseminate the knowledge of the Nexus. Cautiously, but recognizing Blackwood's sincerity, the group accepted his offer. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Tyler and Sophia worked tirelessly to download and secure as much data as possible from the Nexus. Emily and Ethan, with the help of Blackwood's former mercenaries, prepared the yacht for the long journey back. Olivia meticulously documented everything, creating a visual and written record of her incredible journey. Before leaving, they held an impromptu ceremony at the site of the Nexus. Each of them felt a deep connection to the island and the ancient civilization they had discovered. They promised to return one day, not as explorers or treasure hunters, but as guardians of the knowledge entrusted to them. The return trip was marked by long discussions about how to proceed with his discovery. Should they make everything public immediately, or would it be more prudent to reveal knowledge gradually? The implications for science, technology, and human history were enormous. As they approached the coast of the United States, a new reality began to take hold. His parents and friends must have been frantic with worry. Authorities probably considered them missing. How would they explain its absence and, more importantly, its discovery? Blackwood, surprising them again, offered a solution. He would use his contacts to smooth over his return, creating a plausible story that explained his absence without revealing the true nature of his adventure, at least for now. When they finally docked at a small port on the Massachusetts coast, they were greeted by a mix of relief, joy, and confusion from their loved ones. Blackwood's fabricated story of an educational cruise that had strayed off course was accepted, albeit with some raised eyebrows. As they hugged their parents and friends exchanging knowing glances with each other. Each member of the group knew that their lives had changed forever. They were no longer just students on the cusp of adulthood. They were the guardians of a secret that could change the course of human history. The chapter ends with the group reluctantly parting ways, each returning to their normal lives, but with the silent promise to reunite soon. They had a lot of work ahead of them and monumental decisions to make. 6 months have passed since the group's return to civilization. Life has seemingly returned to normal. Emily, Tyler, Sophia, Ethan, and Olivia have started their college studies in different parts of the country. However, beneath the surface of classes, academic work, and social activities, a secret mission simmered. Regularly, the group met in secure video conferences, discussing progress in deciphering and understanding the Nexus data. Dr. Blackwood, fulfilling his promise, provided resources and protection, keeping authorities and other interested parties at bay. Slowly, they began to implement a carefully crafted plan. Sophia, now studying ancient history, began publishing scholarly articles that subtly introduced concepts derived from knowledge of the Nexus. Tyler, in his engineering degree, worked on projects that incorporated technologies inspired by his discoveries. Olivia used her art to create works that captured the essence of their journey and the truths they had discovered, sparking the public's imagination without revealing too much. Ethan, studying environmental science, has applied the Nexus advanced ecological knowledge to innovative conservation projects. Emily, studying international relations, began making connections with world leaders and influential organizations, setting the stage for future revelations. As fragments of knowledge from the Nexus began to infiltrate the academic and scientific world, a subtle but profound change began to occur. New theories emerged, challenging established paradigms. Unexpected technological advances began to appear in various fields. The group, now recognized as young prodigies in their respective fields, were invited to international conferences and symposiums. With each event, they carefully released more information, guiding the global community toward a deeper understanding of the universe and humanity's place in it. Dr. Blackwood, keeping his word, used his behind-the-scenes influence to protect the group and facilitate the gradual spread of knowledge. He had become not just an ally but a mentor, helping them navigate the complex worlds of academia, politics, and media. As the first year drew to a close, the group met in person for the first time since their return. In an isolated cabin in the mountains, they reflected on their journey and the road ahead. They discussed the ethical challenges of their role as guardians of knowledge. How do we balance the need for progress with the responsibility to protect humanity from advances for which it might not be prepared? How to ensure that the knowledge of the Nexus was used for the good of humanity and not for personal gain or power? As they watched the sun set over the mountains, each of them felt the weight and privilege of their unique position. They had embarked on an adventure in search of treasure and discovered something far more valuable, a legacy of knowledge that could shape the future of humanity. The final chapter ends with the group renewing their commitment to each other and their mission. They knew the road ahead would be challenging, full of obstacles and difficult decisions, but they were also full of hope and determination. As the stars began to appear in the night sky, Emily, Tyler, Sophia, Ethan, and Olivia looked to the future with a mixture of awe and excitement. His great adventure had not ended with the discovery of the Nexus. In fact, it was just the beginning of an even greater journey, a journey that could very well define the destiny of humanity. And so, under the starry sky, 5 young friends, united by an extraordinary experience, prepared to face the greatest challenge of all, shaping the future of human civilization with wisdom, compassion, and courage.